Hi, my name is Eunice Loy.
Hi, I'm Kaysing, and today we'll be presenting a comparative case study for two iconic performing arts centers from different parts of the world, Istana Budaya in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and Sydney Opera House in Australia. Let's begin with historical background of each building. Istana Budaya was proposed in the 1970s by Malaysian Ministry of Culture as a national arts located on Jalan Tun Razak. The building was designed by architect Muhammad Kamar Yaakob, who drew inspiration from traditional Malay vernacular design. Construction started in 1995 and was completed in 1999, with the building officially opening in the 2000s. The Sydney Opera House, on the other hand, was conceived much earlier in the 1940s as Australia world-class performance venue in 1956. An international design competition was launched and won by Danish architect John Utzon. Construction began in 1959, but the project faced serious delay due to political conflict and funding issues. Utzon eventually resigned and other architects completed the project. Despite these setbacks, the Opera House was officially opened by Queen Elizabeth II on 20 October 1973. Now let's move on to the timeline. Istana Budaya was first proposed in 1964 by Malaysian ministries, developed through cultural discussion in 1970s, began its traditional Malay-inspired design in 1995 and opened in 1999 as Malaysia's premier venue combining heritage architecture with modern performing arts. Meanwhile, Sydney Opera House was designed by John Utzon after winning a competition in 1956, and the construction began in 1959. But Sydney Opera House faced delays and budget overrun before finally opening in 1973. Ultimately, it was being recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2007 for its groundbreaking architectural design. Now, let's look at some of the major cultural events that shaped Istana Budaya's identity. In 2006, it staged Puteri Gunung Ledang, the musical produced by Infinity Productions. This production adapted a legendary Malaysian tale into high-budget Broadway-style musical. It successfully blended Malay tradition with modern staging and ran across multiple seasons due to popularity. In 2019, Istana Budaya hosted the Phantom of the Opera as part of its international tour. This was the first time the musical was performed in Malaysia and was demonstrated the venue's ability to handle world-class production. It drew both local and international audiences and helped elevate its Malaysia profile on the global art scene. In 2007, P. Ramlee the musical, also by Infinity Production, paid tribute to one of the Malaysia's most beloved cultural icons, Tan Sri P. Ramlee. It was well received and became one of the most successful local musical and boosting national pride. Next, significant historical events for Sydney Opera House. The Sydney Opera House also has a rich history of hosting landmarks events. As mentioned earlier, the building was officially opened by Queen Elizabeth II in 1973, with the first performance being the War and Peace by the Australian Opera. This event marked the Opera House as a modern symbol of Australia. In 2000, during the Sydney Olympics, the Opera House Olympic was the key venue for Olympic Art Festival, hosting cultural showcase and performance that was broadcast to billions of viewers worldwide. This cemented its global reputation as both architecture and cultural icons. Since its opening, it has also been residency of the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, making it a cornerstone of Australia's classical music tradition. Now, let's explore their architectural significance. Istana Budaya features distinct Malay motifs such as the wild bulan on its door and carvings. It follows the layout of traditional Malay house structure, and it incorporates modern stage technology such as a revolving stage and hydraulic system. The Sydney Opera House is an example of modern expression architecture inspired by seashell and sailing ship. Its structural form and innovative design are recognized globally. Inside inside, it houses multiple performance venues, including a concert hall and drama theatre. In terms of cultural offering, Istana Budaya promotes both traditional and contemporary Malaysian arts. However, it is often perceived as an exclusive or formal venue, which can deter casual tourists or young audiences. By contrast, the Sydney Opera House offers diverse programming, including theatre, dance, First Nation programs, film screenings, and even family-friendly events. It also features interactive tours, outdoor festivals, and harborside experience that appeal to a broader audience.
In terms of tourism, the contrast is even more significant. Istana Budaya receives an estimated 40,000 to 50,000 visitors annually, mostly through ticketed performance. On the other hand, the Sydney Opera House draws over 10 million visitors a year, with 1.4 million guided tours. It's seen as iconic, inclusive, and welcome to all ages. The Sydney Opera House benefits from well-organized harbour cruises, guided tours, and partnerships with local and international tourism platforms. Public perception and promotional effort also differ. Istana Budaya is respected for its cultural significance, but is often viewed as elitist or inaccessible, especially to foreign tourists or locals that are unfamiliar with traditional performing arts. It has limited online presence, minimal collaborations with K-Look, and few social media campaigns. The Sydney Opera House, however, excels in this area. It has global digital campaigns, influencer collaboration, virtual exhibits, and it's frequently featured in Google Arts and Culture. This helps maintain its international visibility and continuous tourist engagement. The maintenance and upkeep of Istana Budaya. The aging infrastructure of these cultural landmarks demands ongoing upgrades to essential systems, including stage equipment, acoustic, and lights, to ensure they meet modern performances standards. However, limited public funding often forces management to prioritize basic operational costs over more comprehensive renovation, leaving little room for aesthetic improvements and enhanced visitor experiences. For funding constraints, both venues rely heavily on government support, with Istana Budaya particularly dependent on allocation from Malaysia's Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture (MOTAC). A key challenge is the lack of diversified funding sources, as corporate sponsorships and private sectors partnerships remain underdeveloped. This heavy reliance on public funds restricts their ability to pursue larger scale upgrades or innovative programs that could evaluate their global standing. For public engagement and promotion challenges, the lack of interactive walk-in spaces limits the tourist appeal for visitors not attending performances, while weak outreach to schools, youth groups, and international tourists further reduces engagement. Limited event marketing fails to maximize the venue's potential as tourist attractions, restricting their visibility and public impact. So, for the first strategic recommendation that we had, based on our comparative analysis, here are 4 key strategies to enhance Istana Budaya. The first one is to introduce guided tours, exhibition, and daytime activities to attract walk-in tourists similar to Sydney Opera House. The second is improve digital presence, strengthen social media marketing, collaborate with influencers, and partner with platforms like Google Arts and Culture. The third one is strengthen programming, include more youth-oriented, multicultural, and international content to attract broader audiences. Lastly, it is integrated site management to explore public-private partnerships to allow creative programming, better funding models, and greater autonomy in decision-making. In conclusion, both Istana Budaya and Sydney Opera House serves as iconic representation of national identity through architecture and the performing arts. However, their tourism visibility and global engagement vary significantly. By learning from the inclusive, interactive, and globally marketing model of Sydney Opera House, Istana Budaya can evolve from a performance venue into a vibrant, accessible cultural destination that appeals to both Malaysians and international tourists. Thank you.